When we talk about the big AI race, everyone's eyes are on the US and China, right? But what if I told you there's another country, a real dark horse, making a massive play? Well, today, we're diving into Vietnam's incredible gamble to become a global AI powerhouse.
All right, here's what we're going to cover. We'll kick things off with their massive ambition, then get into the nitty-gritty of the challenges they're up against. After that, we'll look at the tricky global situation they're navigating, and finally, we'll break down the brand new rulebook they've written to carve out their own space. Let's get into it.
So let's rewind to 2021. This was a huge moment for Vietnam. They'd just overtaken Singapore to become the third largest economy in Southeast Asia. I mean, talk about momentum. And right then, the government drops this landmark document, the National Strategy on AI. And let me tell you, this was way more than just some boring policy paper. It was basically them planting a flag and declaring their intentions to the world.
And they were not thinking small. We're talking about a vision to turn Vietnam into a major hub for AI innovation, not just in Southeast Asia, mind you, but on the entire global stage. So yeah, the ambition here was absolutely off the charts.
Okay, so you've got this huge ambition, right? But ambition is one thing, reality is another. And that 2021 strategy, as optimistic as it was, didn't shy away from the massive roadblocks they were facing. Let's break down the three biggest hurdles they had to clear.
First up, the big one, money. And just look at this. The gap is absolutely staggering. Back in 2019, Vietnam was investing just $1 per person in AI. Now, compare that to their regional rival, Singapore. They were putting in $68. That's not just a gap, it's a chasm, a huge financial mountain to climb.
The second challenge, people. Vietnam actually has a solid pipeline of tech graduates, but keeping them in the country, that was the real struggle. This quote from a scientist at VinAI just says it all, doesn't it? How can a local company possibly compete with the salaries offered by Google or Microsoft? It's almost impossible. And the result was a classic brain drain, with their top talent leaving for opportunities elsewhere.
So let's just recap for a second. You got a massive funding gap, a brain drain problem, and you're up against fierce global competition. And as if that wasn't enough, there was this other huge issue, a total lack of clear rules for AI ethics and privacy. It was like the Wild West, creating a ton of uncertainty for developers and the public alike.
And all of this, all these internal challenges, were happening on a global chessboard that was, well, incredibly complicated. The world of AI rules was, and frankly still is, a total patchwork, with the big players all writing their own playbooks.
Yeah, this image really gives you a feel for that fractured world. You've got different rules everywhere, which creates this tangled web for any country, like Vietnam, trying to build a global AI presence. And really, it all boils down to two dominant philosophies, coming from the US and the EU.
So on one hand, you've got the US. Their approach is basically innovation first. They're all about tearing down regulatory hurdles to get investment flowing and let companies run fast. But then, on the other side of the spectrum, you've got the European Union. They have gone in the complete opposite direction, with a heavy rules-first strategy, all wrapped up in their big AI Act.
So imagine you're Vietnam, caught right in the middle of these two giants. What do? Do you copy the US and go for broke on innovation, hoping the investment follows? Or do you copy the EU and build a system based on strict rules to create trust? Or is there a third option?
Well, Vietnam's answer is this: a brand new, comprehensive draft law on AI. And get this, it's not a carbon copy of anyone else's plan. This is a homegrown framework, tailor-made to solve Vietnam's very specific set of problems.
At the very heart of this new law is a really smart idea called risk-based classification. It's super pragmatic. Instead of having one giant set of rules for all AI, they're tailoring the regulations. Basically, the amount of oversight depends entirely on how much potential harm an AI system could cause. Simple, but brilliant.
So here's how it breaks down into three simple tiers. For anything low risk, it's a pretty light touch. Think voluntary standards. For medium risk stuff, like maybe a customer service chatbot, the key is transparency. The system has to tell you, hey, you're talking to an AI. But for the high-risk systems, we're talking AI in healthcare or transportation, that's where the heavy rules come in. We're talking strict oversight, mandatory safety checks, and an absolute requirement to have a human who can step in and take control.
Okay, so that's the big idea, the risk-based approach. But what else is actually in this new rulebook? Let's peel back the layers and look at the specifics.
And this law gets right down to business. It says you have to label deepfakes. No more guessing games. It lays out exactly who's on the hook when an AI messes up. It doubles down on that human oversight for high-risk systems. And, maybe most importantly, it officially puts the government in charge of building a national AI infrastructure. That's a direct shot at fixing that huge funding gap we talked about earlier.
Now, this whole who's to blame question is always super tricky, right? But check out how they're handling liability. Article 29 is pretty clear. If an AI works exactly as it's supposed to, but still causes some kind of harm, the person using it is responsible. Now, if the system gets hacked, obviously the hacker's in trouble. But, and this is a big but, the company that made it or used it could also be on the hook if they had sloppy security. It's all about creating a clear chain of responsibility.
And I really want to come back to that point about national infrastructure because it is so important. We're talking about Article 16 here, and it's not just some nice suggestion. It's a direct order for the government to invest in the fundamental building blocks, things like massive datasets and computing power. The goal here is to level the playing field so that smaller Vietnamese companies and startups actually have a fighting chance.
So when you step back and look at the whole picture, the risk-based rules, the state investment, the clear liability, what you see is something totally unique. It's not the US model, and it's not the EU model. It's something else entirely, a third way.
What Vietnam is trying to do here is walk a very fine line. They're taking the idea of a state-guided model to solve their funding and infrastructure issues, but they're pairing it with that smart, risk-based rule system that has echoes of the EU. The ultimate goal? To build a system that people can trust, that's safe, but that doesn't completely kill the innovation they need to compete on the world stage. It's a tough balancing act. And that really brings us to the big, lingering question. Could this unique, hybrid approach, part government muscle, part smart, flexible rules, actually work? And maybe even more importantly, could Vietnam's third way become the blueprint for other developing nations who are all trying to figure out how to find their footing in this new age of AI?